Alright, so first things first, let's hop over and take a look at this workflow, but we're going to give it a little twist. Instead of running everything through that script-to-video tool you've probably seen, I want to show you how to get the same vibe, but make it way less fiddly using Vizard. Then I'll show you the moments where you might still pop into a tool like CapCut if you're really into those extra hand tweaks. So picture this, you've got a long video, like a talking head episode, a course lecture, or a podcast recording, and you need a stack of short clips for TikTok, Shorts, or Reels. Normally, you'd have to scrub through the whole file, mark timestamps, guess what's viral, and then export a dozen different clips. That whole process ends up being super time-consuming, honestly. That's where Vizard steps in. You upload that long video, and it automatically finds the hot parts, the bits people are most likely to engage with, and chops them into ready-to-post clips. It literally picks the viral moments for you, which is honestly pretty wild. Now, if you want to be hands-on, you can absolutely still use CapCut or another editor for fancy transitions and animated text. But here's the thing I ran into when I tried the pure script-to-video route. It gives you this whole auto-generated B-roll layer and captions, which is cool, but often the pacing is completely off. The AI's voice or the B-roll timing doesn't always match how you actually sound or look at the camera. So you end up doing a lot of tedious trimming, cutting to where you actually look at the camera, pulling those parts over the B-roll, and then retiming captions so they don't burn in awkwardly. That whole cleanup process can get really annoying. Vizard completely avoids most of that initial frustration by focusing only on clips that already have the energy and camera engagement you want. Let me quickly walk you through a practical flow so you can see exactly how I would approach this entire process. Step 1 is simple. You just upload your raw source video directly into Vizard. Step 2 involves selecting the auto-editing option within the dashboard. Vizard then scans the footage, detects the true highlights, and pulls out punchlines, laughs, strong statements, and even those little micro-reactions you didn't even know were valuable. You can literally watch the system generate a whole batch of short clips in just a matter of minutes. Honestly, some of those generated clips will be absolutely perfect as is right out of the box. For the others, you might just want to quickly tweak the in-out points, or maybe add a tiny bit of extra context before exporting. For those final few clips you want to polish, I simply export the selected short clips out and bring them into an editor like CapCut or Premiere Pro. Why? Because sometimes I need a specific animated intro, a distinct color grade, or a custom-designed lower third graphic. But here's the key. The heavy lifting, finding those genuinely viral parts, is already done for you. Saving me those hours alone makes this workflow worth it. Okay, quick tangent moment here, because this is a real-life thing that just happened. My phone rang right in the middle of editing. Classic! It was my friend freaking out because they managed to nab like 10 things on clearance at a store that was closing down. Of course, it had to be me forgetting to silence my ringer while I was recording this audio. Don't be that person. Seriously, just mute your phone before you start recording anything. But hey, back to business now. When Vizard creates the clips, the captioning is handled in a very smart way, giving you editable captions that perfectly match the spoken pace. That is clutch because one of the biggest mistakes I always see people make is burning captions into the video too early or using auto captions that don't sync with the final clip speed. If you speed up a clip or trim mid-sentence, those burned-in captions end up looking completely janky and unprofessional. Because Vizard's captions are editable overlays, you can quickly fix timings on the fly without having to re-render the entire video file. Now let's switch gears for a second and talk about voiceovers and text-to-speech options. I've definitely used those text-to-voice options in CapCut before, and while there are some cute voices, so many of the good ones are locked behind a pro paywall. Plus, even the best text-to-speech voices can start to sound robotic if you lean on them for any long sequence of dialogue. Vizard's approach is fundamentally different. Instead of swapping your authentic voice for an AI voice, it gives you the best parts of your own audio, and can also automatically integrate music beds and initial sound design. If you need a quick TTS for a single short line, you can absolutely still add it in, but don't let it replace the natural cadence of a real person when you don't absolutely have to. Here's another super practical tip for prioritizing. When you're combing through those generated clips, always put the ones where you are directly engaged with the camera right at the top of your export list. Those direct-to-camera moments are the absolute gold clips because that is where the viewer feels the genuine connection. You can then use the remaining clips simply as contextual B-roll to support what you're saying. If you do decide to insert your own talking head media into that AI-generated sequence, make sure you place your clips above the generated B-roll on the timeline so they sit visually and narratively on top. That way, when someone is actually watching you speak, your face is what takes precedence on the screen. A lot of creators get totally tripped up by the animations and text styling, and yes, CapCut has some neat one-click templates for that. But the problem is, and this happens again, the best, most professional content is gated behind a paywall, and templates rarely apply uniformly across an entire batch of clips. With Vizard, once you have that batch of clips ready, you can apply consistent branding across the entire set, the same font, the same color stroke, and even the same intro and outro sequence. That level of visual consistency really matters when you're publishing across multiple platforms, because it makes your entire channel feel much more cohesive to the audience. If you want to get really visual with your text styling, here's a quick setup I usually run. Pick a bold font and give it a thin black stroke so it pops clearly on bright footage. Then add a slight shadow or soft glow so the text reads well on busier backgrounds. And, for the animation, keep it simple, like a subtle float or a gentle pop. Trust me, overly aggressive text animation just ends up drawing attention away from the actual content of the clip. The golden rule remains simple, consistent, and highly readable. Export settings are another area that trips a lot of people up, so let's quickly cover that. I always export at 1080p, using the H.264 codec in an MP4 container for all general social media posts, unless I specifically need that full 4K resolution. Keep the embedded audio as AAC, and if you ever need a separate audio export for a podcast or transcription, make sure you choose MP3. Vizard handles platform-specific formats too, which is incredibly handy because it optimizes the aspect ratio and bitrate specifically for TikTok versus YouTube Shorts, for example. This completely removes all the guesswork from your export process. One of the features I absolutely love about Vizard that CapCut doesn't handle nearly as well is the integrated scheduling and distribution side of things. Vizard's auto-schedule feature is an absolute lifesaver. You tell it exactly how often you want to post, set the required cadence, and it queues and publishes those clips automatically. Pair that functionality with the content calendar. You can plan out weeks of content, easily shuffle clips around, and even preview exactly how your feed will look. Other tools tend to make scheduling an extra, tedious manual step or rely on third-party integrations that can often be quite flaky. Vizard keeps everything centralized, clean, and completely predictable. Jumping into pricing and limits for a second. Yes, lots of apps tout free tiers, but they always lock the genuinely useful, time-saving features behind an expensive paid tier. CapCut is fantastic for on-the-spot editing, and it is mostly free to use, but you should definitely expect to hit walls when certain voices, templates, or smart features require an upgrade. Vizard's value proposition is completely different. It's less about offering a single flashy template and much more about saving you significant creative time and actively growing your reach. Instead of spending hours just finding and formatting clips, you get a bank of already viral optimized content, automatically scheduled posts, and a calendar where you can see your entire strategy at a single glance. For almost every creator out there, that saved time simply equals more videos, which means more reach and ultimately more growth. Here's another common gotcha. If you rely purely on the auto-generated B-roll from any platform, there will inevitably be moments where the visuals don't perfectly match the spoken audio. But that is completely normal, so don't panic when it happens. The fix is usually twofold. You either cut those mismatched parts out entirely, or you insert a very short, custom contextual clip of your own. Vizard actually makes this easy by letting you replace those specific segments in a batch without breaking the overall export chain. This means you maintain the efficiency of automation while still swapping in your custom media exactly where it matters most. Also, Vizard makes the entire process of repurposing long-form content almost stupidly easy to manage. Record a full 60-minute session, upload it, and you will instantly get dozens of suggested shorts, some 2 minutes long, others just 15 to 30 seconds, all with suggested captions and thumbnail frames ready. It will even suggest which specific clips are best suited for which platform based on the pace and the overall hook strength of that segment. That right there is the kind of time savings that can turn a single afternoon's work into a full month's worth of scheduled social posts. If you are someone who genuinely likes that deep manual control, you can absolutely still bring the Vizard clips into Premiere Pro for that perfect fine-tuning. I personally do that for my absolute flagship videos where I need a perfect color grade or a very specific set of custom animations applied. But for all of my everyday, high-volume content, Vizard plus a quick pass in CapCut for minor style tweaks is my reliable, go-to workflow. One more little workflow nuance to remember. When editing captions, never burn them directly into the clip if you plan to change the clip's pace later on. Always opt for editable overlay captions instead. If you are creating multiple aspect ratios simultaneously, make sure you use the content calendar to preview exactly how those captions will crop on each format. Those tiny things like line breaks and punctuation placement dramatically affect readability, so you have to consider that carefully when you edit. Alright, wrapping up this comparison, Vizard helps you auto-edit those viral clips, schedule them automatically, and manage everything inside a content calendar so you can finally be consistent without completely losing your mind. CapCut and other free editors are absolutely amazing for creative flourishes and that final last-mile polishing, but they will severely slow you down if your primary job is discovery and batch processing. My advice is to use Vizard for the heavy discovery and initial clip generation, and then use CapCut or Premiere for that final polish when you really need that level of control. If you want a very practical next step right now, I encourage you to try this. Take just one long video, upload it to Vizard, let it generate the clips, and then immediately pick just 3 to publish. Use the auto schedule to space those 3 out over the next few days, and then just watch what happens to your overall engagement. I seriously bet you will be incredibly surprised at how much of your entire content library you can produce in just a single afternoon. Okay, I know that was a lot of information to cover, but honestly, this combination of tools completely changed how I approach my weekly workflow. It means less endless scrubbing, far fewer late-night edits, and much more consistent posting. If you'd like, I can do a follow-up video walking you through my exact export presets, the animation settings I prefer for lower thirds, or the way I set up my content calendar so it never feels like tedious busy work. We'll save that for later.